Hello paddlers! Today I'm in Mequon, Wisconsin at Moonlight Landing. Like many of my kayaking adventures, today wasn't exactly planned. I did plan on being in the north suburban Milwaukee area this weekend. Yesterday I did the Sheboygan River. Today wasn't exactly planned, but just looked at the app and I thought, that's a part of the Milwaukee River I haven't paddled yet. So here I am. I wasn't really planning on a second day of paddling this weekend. There's a lot of biting flies here. It's going to be hot as balls in Milwaukee area today, and I'm wearing long yoga pants because that's all I had left with me. The kayak launch is not exactly ideal, as it's a pretty long walk to carry my boat to the river all the way down there. But this is the part of the river I wanted to see that I haven't seen yet, so I'm going to make the best of it. Let's go. I've successfully had a dry entry into my boat, and I can tell you right now, if I had planned this trip, I would have brought the 14 or even the 12-foot polyethylene boat for this type of a launch. This type of launch is definitely not set up for a sea kayak, nor is really the water going to be ideal, I think, for a 17-foot boat, but I'm just going to watch the rocks. It doesn't look shallow anywhere around here, so I think it's going to be fine. This launch was insanely buggy. It's already crazy humid out, so I wanted to just get on the boat as soon as I possibly could. Also, I don't know what lives in that hole right there, but I don't want to stick around long enough to find out, so let's get out of here. And the geese just give no fucks. So first 5 minutes I saw an egret and a heron. I would say definitely worth the longer transport of my boat to the launch from my vehicle and all the humidity, bugs sticking to my skin conditions at the launch back there. And before you make comments about me not wearing a life jacket, I'm in about 18 inches of water right here, so if it gets deeper, if the current gets stronger, yes, I'm going to put on my PFD. See that? Right there? Oh, not my finger. Right there. To some people, that means relief from oppressive heat, pumpkin spice, and all that crap. But to me, I see those changing leaves, and it's sad. It means that this glorious weather that we enjoy for far too short is going to come to an end. To me, it's a sign of mourning. Okay, I see some more garbage I need to save the wildlife from here. So I was going to wait until the first 2 miles into the paddle to comment on the current here. My first mile was 18 minutes and something, so obviously there is some current, flat water. I'm at about 13 and a half minutes in this boat. So obviously there is some current, but it's barely detectable. The surface is so smooth, even with the wind. I've got a little bit of a tailwind going upriver here. The water is crystal clear. There's really not much to look at, but probably at some point I'll submerge the GoPro if I find something of any interest underneath the surface. I think it really hit the sweet spot on the Milwaukee River. I didn't much care for paddling downtown. I mean, it was an experience, but that's not quite my bag. Up north near Newburgh, when I launched up there, it was just way too shallow, rocky. It was a good paddle, but just a little bit slow going in the first 6 miles or so. I've also launched from Grafton a couple of times. That was an okay paddle in the spring, but when I launched there recently, it was just way too shallow. I couldn't paddle more than about 1.5 miles up from the dam in Grafton. This launch right here in Mequon is the sweet spot. It's a nice combination of a little bit residential, but a lot of nature. I mean, I saw that egret and the heron and whatever the heck else that other bird was within the first 1.5 miles, and the population gets a little bit more remote as I go up north here. So I'm excited what else I'm going to see. Well, I made a feeble attempt at submerging the GoPro. There's not a whole lot to look at here, but I saw all these tiny little minnows and I thought that would make a cool shot. But there's just enough of a current for me not to be able to sit still long enough for the fish to come back once I stuck the GoPro in the water. But while I was there, I pulled this crusty specimen out of the river. It's pretty slimy and crusty. It does look cracked, but there's some imprinting on this bottle, so I'm gonna clean it up and see if I can figure out where it's from and when it's from. I'm into old bottles, so I mean, it's garbage, it's not worth anything, but just for my own curiosity, I'd like to learn a little history if I can. I thought it was full of sand. I emptied out all the contents, and this is one heavy bottle. This is old. This is some thick glass. Big clamshell right there. Snails. Crayfish. I wasn't going to do this because I'm wearing pants on a stupid hot day. I don't know why. I don't want to get soaking wet, but there's something I want to check out. See what it is. Actually, the water is really, really refreshing. It's pulling up to my ankles right here. All this thing is. Okay, I guess upon closer exam, maybe that's something that belonged in the river here at some point in its history. Let's go back to the main part of the river. Now that my bottle has dried, I've been able to read what's on the label a little bit. It says Bright Spot Bottling Company, Milwaukee, West. I looked that up online. And the only thing I learned about Bright Spot Bottling Company is that they were incorporated in 1920, and they dissolved in 1979. So at the very least, that bottle has probably been in the river for 43 years. Maybe 103 years, maybe 43. Somewhere between 43 and 103 years. No clue. But I remember what bottles were like in 1979, and they weren't that serious. So I'm guessing it was before my lifetime. On my next episode of Shit That Doesn't Belong in a River, a tire. Really? I see tires all the time. You had to dump your tire in the Milwaukee River. You couldn't have just chucked your tire in the dumpster behind the bowling alley. You had to throw it in the Milwaukee River. Nice job. Congratulations, you. Well, the tire, I don't have the means to pull out of here, but if I could, I would. So I'm just going to have to make up for it by pulling other crap out of here as I get the opportunity. So there's been quite a few times here in the last 3/4 of a mile where it got really, really shallow. And I thought, this is it, I'm going to have to turn around. But there's some kind of an addiction when you're paddling a new area that you haven't paddled before, where it's just like, I just want to get up around that next bend. Something really cool might be up around that next bend. So I get out and walk the boat just so I can see what's around that next bend. And that's what I just said, about 20 yards back, but now all of a sudden it's like 2 feet deep again. So I'm sitting pretty, I don't have all day today, but I just want to get and see what's around that next bend. But if I know me, I'm going to get there and there's going to be another bend and I'm going to think, okay, just one more bend and then I'll turn around. Oh, another paddler. Oh, hello. I think I am going to have to turn around here. It's getting really, really shallow. I don't have all day. This was just kind of a bonus, so I'm just going to let the current spin me around. So if I had my fleet of boats at my fingertips when I launched in Mequon, definitely I would have opted for a polyethylene boat. That being said, this boat has so much surface area of hull that my weight is so distributed that I literally only need 3.5 or 4 inches of water to be able to not hit any rocks. So I probably would have sat a little bit lower in a heavier poly boat, but then I wouldn't have cared if I'm hitting rocks. I've been stalking this egret for some time. And I snuck up on him and I didn't even realize it. In one day, all season. And I'm back at the launch. Once I got my boat off the water, I could not get out of that woods fast enough. I was so sweaty that I just put my boat up on my shoulder, carried it all the way out of the woods, and by the time I got to the car, the boat was just falling off of me because I was so sweaty. I almost slipped and dropped my boat, but saved it, got it on the car securely, and I couldn't get into my car with the air turned on quickly enough. I'd say for a bonus day on the Milwaukee River, it was a pretty good day. Mequon is definitely the sweet spot, going north against the current from Moonlight Landing here in Mequon. Next time I think I'm going to try to launch from here and go downriver and see what it's like from there. It may seem like a lot of my adventures are just flying by the seat of my pants, unplanned, and you would be accurate. A lot of my trips are that way, but a lot of them are very thought out and well planned. Days like this are just a bonus. I'm going to be headed to Lake Tahoe in 6 days, so be sure to stay tuned for those adventures. I'm going to be paddling every day. I'm also going to be climbing while I'm out there. So it's going to be a nice little break from the humidity in the Midwest and a beautiful change in scenery. I never know where my adventures are going to take me next, but sometimes I do, and I know I'm going to Lake Tahoe. Anyway, be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, because you're not going to want to miss my next adventures. Thanks for coming with, and we'll see you next time.